For y'all who don't know me, my name is Gabriella, and I am fiance to Andrew. And he shared 2 weeks ago a very touching testimony. And my testimony is actually very similar to his. I was once a kid in church who was flipping through Bibles and looking at the lights on the ceiling and, not really paying attention to what was being preached. But except I grew up in the Catholic faith. And I grew up, reading the Bible, reciting the rosary, reciting prayer, not really understanding what the meaning was behind why we were doing these things. It was mostly just like clockwork. And oftentimes as a kid, I was very inquisitive. I had a lot of questions. And a lot of my teachers or the nuns, they oftentimes would kind of shut me down and say that, why would you question God? But the thing is like, I don't think I was actually truly questioning God. I just wanted to find the why, as a kid would. And so in the process of trying to find my why, I unfortunately lost my faith. Now, for those of you who know me, I am very deeply passionate about ice hockey. I grew up traveling the world, playing hockey. And unfortunately, it did take me away from Sundays where I could spend in church or, worshiping the Lord. And during that time, that was also kind of solidified my loss in my faith. And so I found this time, and I look back on it now, because this continued through college. I truly don't think I lost the Lord. I just kind of lost the meaning of what it would be to live with the Lord, because I found myself praying to him and still in times of need. But still, it was a very dark time, and now I reflect on it now as being, it makes sense. I didn't have God in my life, and I had some really bad friends and some really bad trying times, but I had nothing to turn to. And it was in that time that Andrew actually came into my life, and when he came into my life, he was my friend, and I didn't have a lot of friends at that time because I had been cutting people out. And one of the things that he said immediately was that he was a part of a faith community, and he spoke of his friend Manny, who he touched on in his testimony as being somebody who was very paramount in his faith journey. And I was very curious, but still very apprehensive because of my upbringing and, feeling like I might not find what I was looking for, which was a community based in faith who were supportive and loving and could answer my questions. But eventually, Andrew and I started dating, and I decided that I was going to give it a try. And through that experience, I felt God slowly return to my life, and he truly blessed me with the most wonderful people. And I found a very loving community where I was able to answer my questions, and I felt uplifted and supported. And so when Andrew and I were looking for a church when we moved up to DC, one of the things that we put in the center was obviously God, but we wanted a loving, supporting community of people who we truly could share our questions with and, feel like we could answer them. And when we were actually riding to Smith Chapel for the first time, we were very surprised by all the little coincidences. We think that ways God was speaking to us, the street on the way here was called Indian Spring Road, which is Andrew's high school name. And then as we were sitting down and flipping through your little pamphlet, the motto at the top, which was "Know Jesus and Make Him Known," was the motto of our former church. So we kind of had a very touching moment where we were like, yeah, this is home. So we found our home here. And we immediately, when we met Pastor Ho, one of the things that we said we needed something to keep us accountable. We needed a community, because up here we were moving very far away from home. It's hard. It's easy to stray from the path, especially when a lot of the churches in DC are very much networking based. So we wanted to find a really true, authentic community. And we found that here, especially through our little weekly meetings with Pastor Ho. We call them the YAM fam, and that stands for Young Adult Meeting. And just when we met Esther and Anna and Andrew and John Henry, it was just immediately we knew that this was like just a wonderful God-centered community. It's been wonderful since the beginning, and we started the course by really reorienting our life and figuring out like what it meant to live like Jesus. And that was what I needed. I felt like moving to DC immediately to, kind of reorient my life and to position it with God in the center. And now we are learning how to be disciples, which this is something very new to me because I consider my faith very deeply personal, and I struggle very much to talk about it, this is a very nerve-wracking thing for me to do as it is. But I find myself growing very patient and very kind and speaking with my coworkers now about my faith and trying to reach people who might not know the Lord. And I feel invigorated by this course. So praise God. And it's just been truly wonderful. And I'm just so blessed to have these wonderful young people in my life and Pastor Ho and Yeonmi. Now we are getting more one-on-one time with them since a lot of people are busy. So I just hope that the Lord provides and we are still able to continue these meetings and we are able to just continue to learn how to be disciples. And if any of you have any questions further, all of us would be happy to talk about it. But yeah, that is just a little bit about me and how this course and how God is working through my life.
All right.